If your hands or feet sometimes feel like they're buzzing, tingling, or even burning for no clear reason, it's easy to brush it off at first. Maybe you notice it when you lie down at night. Maybe it shows up when you've been sitting too long. Or maybe it's there constantly, just at a level that feels annoying rather than alarming. And because it doesn't stop you completely, because you can still move, still function, still go about your day, it becomes something you learn to live with. But here's what most people don't realize. When your nerves start sending signals like that, it's rarely random. It's not just something that appears without a reason and disappears without consequence. Your body is communicating something important, but it's doing it quietly. There's no urgency, no dramatic warning that forces you to act. So the pattern continues. The tingling becomes more frequent. The numbness lasts a little longer. Tasks that used to feel simple start to feel slightly off. Buttons become harder to fasten. Holding objects feels less secure. Walking feels a little less certain than it used to. And because all of this happens gradually, it's easy to attribute it to age, to assume this is just how things go. But what if it isn't? What if what you're feeling is not the result of something ending, but the result of something missing? That possibility changes everything. Because if something is missing, it means something can be restored. And once you begin to look at it that way, the entire situation shifts from acceptance to understanding. To understand why these sensations appear, it helps to think about how your nerves actually function. Imagine a network of tiny pathways running from your brain to every part of your body. Your hands, your feet, your muscles, everything is connected through the system. These pathways carry signals that tell your body what to feel and how to respond. But for those signals to travel clearly, they need protection. A kind of insulation that keeps the signal stable and prevents interference. Over time, especially after 60, your body becomes less efficient at maintaining that protective layer. It doesn't disappear all at once. It begins to weaken gradually. And when that happens, the signals traveling through your nerves become less precise. They start to misfire. Instead of a clear message, your body receives a distorted one. That distortion is what you feel as tingling, burning, or numbness. What makes this especially important is that this process doesn't require a major illness or injury to begin. It can develop slowly, influenced by factors that don't seem directly connected at first. Diet, absorption, daily habits, even medications. All of these can influence how well your body maintains that protective layer. And when that layer begins to break down, the symptoms appear. Not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency is what makes them easy to ignore. But it is also what makes them important. One of the most important pieces of this puzzle, and the one that often goes completely unnoticed, is how your body actually maintains that protective layer around your nerves. It doesn't happen automatically without support. It depends on specific nutrients that your body uses every single day to repair and maintain those pathways. When those nutrients are available in the right amounts, your nerves stay protected, signals travel clearly, and everything feels stable. But when those levels begin to drop, even slightly, the system starts to change. What makes this particularly challenging is that this change is not immediate. It develops gradually, often without any obvious signs at the beginning. You continue your routine, eat the way you always have, take care of yourself as best as you can, and yet something is quietly shifting beneath the surface. Over time, the protective layer around your nerves becomes thinner. Signals begin to lose clarity, and the first thing you feel is not weakness, but distortion. Tingling instead of normal sensation. A burning feeling instead of warmth. Numbness where there should be feedback. These are not random sensations. They are the result of a system that is no longer receiving what it needs to maintain itself properly. What makes this especially important after 60 is that your body becomes less efficient at absorbing and using certain nutrients, even if you are consuming them regularly. This means that what worked for you years ago may no longer be enough today. The intake might be the same, but the outcome is completely different. And because this shift happens quietly, it often goes unnoticed until symptoms begin to appear. Understanding this is the first step in recognizing that what you are experiencing is not just a condition to manage, but a process that can be influenced. Another factor that plays a major role in this process is how your body absorbs what you consume. Many people assume that if they are eating well, their body is receiving everything it needs. But the reality is more complex. As the body ages, the digestive system changes in subtle but important ways. The production of stomach acid decreases, enzymes become less active, and the overall efficiency of nutrient absorption declines. This means that even when you are consuming foods that contain the right nutrients, your body may only be absorbing a fraction of what is available. Over time, this creates a gap between what you think you are providing and what your body is actually receiving. And this gap becomes more significant as the years pass. What makes this particularly relevant for nerve health is that the nutrients responsible for maintaining nerve function are often the same ones that are most affected by these changes in absorption. They require proper digestion to be utilized effectively. When that process becomes less efficient, levels begin to drop gradually. Not enough to cause immediate problems, but enough to create a slow decline in support. This is why many people feel like they are doing everything right but still experience symptoms. The issue is not always intake, it is absorption. And when absorption becomes less efficient, the body begins to operate with less support than it needs. Over time, this creates the conditions where nerve discomfort can develop and persist. Medications are another factor that can quietly influence this process in ways that are rarely discussed. Many commonly prescribed medications, especially those taken over long periods of time, can affect how your body uses and retains certain nutrients. They may solve one issue while unintentionally creating another. This does not mean they are harmful or unnecessary, but it does mean that their effects are not always isolated. Over time, these effects can add up. For example, certain medications can interfere with how your body processes and stores key nutrients needed for nerve health. This interference is often gradual, making it difficult to notice at first. You continue taking the medication as prescribed, everything seems stable, and yet something in the background is slowly changing. The body adapts, but not always in a way that supports long-term balance. As nutrient levels begin to decline, the systems that depend on them begin to show signs of stress. In the case of nerve function, this stress appears as the sensations many people experience but rarely connect to their underlying cause. Tingling, numbness, and burning are often treated as isolated symptoms, but they are frequently part of a larger pattern. Understanding that medications can influence this pattern does not mean stopping them. It means becoming aware of the full picture and recognizing that additional support may be needed to maintain balance over time. At this point, it becomes clear that what you are experiencing is not random, but the result of multiple small factors working together over time. Reduced absorption, changes in diet, the effects of medications, and natural aging all contribute to a gradual decline in support for your nerves. But what makes this situation encouraging is that these factors can be addressed, not all at once, and not with extreme changes, but with a more targeted understanding of what your body actually needs. One of the most important aspects of this approach is consistency. The body does not respond to occasional input as effectively as it does to regular support. When the necessary nutrients are provided consistently, the body begins to use them more efficiently. Over time, this creates an environment where repair becomes possible. The protective layer around your nerves begins to stabilize. Signals start to travel more clearly, and the sensations that once felt constant begin to change. This process is not immediate, but it is noticeable. Small improvements appear first. A slight reduction in tingling, a more stable feeling when walking, a greater sense of control when using your hands. These changes may seem minor at first, but they are part of a larger shift. And that shift is what leads to more significant improvements over time. As this process continues, many people begin to notice something else that they did not expect, an increase in overall energy and clarity. This happens because the same systems that support nerve function are also involved in how your body produces and uses energy. When those systems are functioning more efficiently, the effects are not limited to one area. They extend throughout your body. You may find that mornings feel easier, that your thinking feels clearer, and that your overall sense of well-being improves. These changes are not separate from nerve health. They are connected. They reflect how your body is responding to improved internal balance. What makes this important is that it reinforces the idea that your body is not working against you. It is responding to the conditions it is given. When those conditions improve, even slightly, the response changes as well. Over time, this creates a pattern of improvement that becomes more noticeable and more consistent. As this process continues, many people begin to notice something else that they did not expect, an increase in overall energy and clarity. This happens because the same systems that support nerve function are also involved in how your body produces and uses energy. When those systems are functioning more efficiently, the effects are not limited to one area. They extend throughout your body. You may find that mornings feel easier, that your thinking feels clearer, and that your overall sense of well-being improves. These changes are not separate from nerve health. They are connected. They reflect how your body is responding to improved internal balance. What makes this important is that it reinforces the idea that your body is not working against you. It is responding to the conditions it is given. When those conditions improve, even slightly, the response changes as well. Over time, this creates a pattern of improvement that becomes more noticeable and more consistent. Looking at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that nerve discomfort is not just a symptom to manage, but a signal to understand. It reflects how your body is functioning at a deeper level. When you begin to respond to that signal with awareness rather than frustration, the approach changes. Instead of trying to eliminate the symptom directly, you begin to support the system that is creating it. This shift in perspective is what allows for more meaningful and lasting improvement. It moves the focus from short-term relief to long-term function. And when the focus changes, the results often follow. The most important takeaway is simple. What you are feeling is not something you have to accept without question. It is something you can begin to understand and influence. Your body is constantly communicating, and when you listen closely, you begin to see patterns that were not obvious before. Those patterns give you the information you need to make small, effective changes. Over time, those changes can lead to noticeable improvements in how you feel and how you function. The goal is not perfection, it is progress. And that progress begins with recognizing that your body is capable of more than you may have been led to believe.